Let's take a quick tour of Onshape on a phone. I will click on the Onshape app. It is logging in using my Face ID. And here are the different documents I have access to. First, there's my organization. We can see the folders in the document there. Let me go back. Then I have owned by me. And so again, I've got my various different folders and documents. Or what might be easier is to go to recently opened. And here are the documents I have opened up recently. Let's go to one in the middle of the list. And this is a Hexapod assembly. This is actually from an Onshape Learn training class. If you take the one on linking documents, you can get this model for yourself. It is really neat to play around with. And so we've got it open. Maybe I want to zoom in. Maybe I want to zoom in a little bit. Let me use my fingers in order to expand it. And then with one finger, I can spin around and look at it from all sorts of different orientations. If you want to pan it on your phone screen, use two fingers and then move the two fingers together. And that way it will follow you around wherever you want to place it. If you take a look in the upper right hand corner, you've got the view cube, and if I click on it, it shows the different views that I have access to. Let me select the isometric view so it goes back to that orientation. Down at the bottom of the screen, we have our different tabs. So right now I'm on the Hexapod assembly tab. Then if I click on the top plate part studio, there we can see that one. Here we have the base plate part studio. Then we have our tab browser. Let me click on that and you can see that we have three different tabs in here. I'm happy with the Hexapod one. Let me use the same icon in order to collapse it. Over on the left-hand side, we have the instances list panel that we can expand. And so if I click on an object in the list, it's going to highlight it on the screen. You'll notice that it locked the rotation. Maybe I want to zoom in a little bit on that subassembly. Also, we can expand the subassembly to see the different components that are located inside of that subassembly. And let me also go down. We have our mate features. We can expand that folder to see all the different mates in there. And then we have our other different subassemblies located in here as well. So let's collapse instances list panel. And then if I want to deselect that subassembly, I'm just going to tap real quickly on the screen background. So let's see some of the other different things that we have. Oh, we can perform a measurement. You can see the little measuring tape icon in the upper right hand corner. So I'm going to start out by picking this top surface. And when I selected that top surface, I get the surface. I don't know, let me deselect. Let me make sure I'm just getting that top surface. There we go. And let me then hit the icon so I can unlock the view movement and then pick the surface. And with those two different objects selected, let me go again back to this orientation. I can use the measurement icon. It shows two entities selected. It gives us the minimum distance and then the maximum distance between those entities. Let me deselect everything. And then let me go back to my view cube so I can go to the isometric view so everything is back zoomed out. Let me use the instances list to select the entire assembly, and that way I can click on the little scales icon to get me my mass property so I can see my total mass is 9.4 kilograms. And we've got our other information like the volume, the surface area, center of mass, and moment of inertia. And there is the little slider button if you want to override those values, which I think is a really terrible thing to do unless you are working with something that was imported, something like maybe COTS components. Let me double tap in order to deselect all of that. And Let's take a look at a few of the other different icons from around the screen. In the top left, you have your undo and your redo buttons. You have your insert icon, and that allows you to insert other components into this assembly. And so we can insert from the current document, other documents, or access our standard content. So this is one way in which you can do design work inside of the mobile app. To the right of the insert icon, we have our other different tools. So we can create mates, and we can create other different features, and we can do our various kinds of patterns. Let me collapse that. Down at the bottom of the screen, we have our versions and history list. Let's collapse that. To the right of the versions and history, we have the ability to make a new version. Let me get out of that. And lastly, in the bottom right, we can add a comment in here if we want to. Let me collapse that. And so there we have our little tour of using Onshape on a mobile phone. I highly recommend that you give this a shot for yourself. Hey, if you go to your phone's app store, you can download Onshape and then log in with your account.